Hey, Paul.
Hey Hayden, how are you?
I'm well enough. How chapters? I don't remember what chapters I sent you. 8 and 9, I think.
Yeah, you gave me 8 and 9 here. Let me just pull them up here. Who was waving? Who was that? Sorry, someone was just waving. Are you out of here? Yeah. Okay, take care. Love you too. Bye. It's just my daughter saying goodbye. Thanks, Hayden.
No problem.
All right. Sorry about that. So yeah, no, I'm feeling generally quite good about this. I think there's only one point. This is chapter 8. So
Great.
this is the Mexican standoff. Um, oh yeah, it's just one real quick thing. I would get to the end quicker, I think would be my suggestion. Is he dead? Is he dead? Julius laughed hysterically, making Ramona feel uncomfortable. Oh yes, you got him. Do you have any idea? Any idea at all what you've just done? And then the whole rest of the conversation, and I was like, oh my God. And then the whole rest of the conversation just took all kind of the drama, all the air out of the dramatic balloon kind of thing like that. And then finally he says, Ramona Vasquez, you're under arrest for the murder of Mateus. Felt like just jump to that because all of this conversation that we have in the middle, we already know all that stuff, or we don't really need it. Was my first thought. So I would, if it was me, I'd just jump to the arrest as soon as possible. Um, that would be what I would
I
recommend.
might I might keep the self-entitled millennial part because I really like that line.
Okay,
Might just be.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Okay, so just
No, yeah, keep any of it that you want. Just be aware that any kind of that
oh no,
dialogue
I'm
in
just
there
gonna add
has.
I'm just gonna add self-entitled millennial to the any idea what you've done line. I just really like that.
That's smart. Yeah, that's wicked.
I really just
And
I
I would,
really just liked him calling her that because that feels like something like someone born in World War II would say.
hmm yeah, just a typical mean thing. And I would probably end with his words, not hers, for her to go
Mm.
what at the end. I would probably get rid of that because it's assumed that she would feel that. Um, his last words hanging in the air kind of have a little more strength to me. But that's it for that one. I didn't have much more than that.
Second
That was
one,
pretty good.
I expected there to be a lot more autocorrecting necessary because I did not get around to doing the grammar check.
No problem. Well, so the question I had about 9 now, it's going to look like I'm addressing a problem that you might think is unsolvable. To me, I would lean into this. To me, there's a problem here that immediately offers a solution for me, and the problem is actually a wicked opportunity for your story and doesn't require you to rewrite almost anything here if if you agree with me. What this chapter does, all of Daphne's, I hadn't thought of it until Daphne said it. Daphne points out that Julius is a terrible agent. The way he's presented to us in the book so far. This is a guy who's bad at following orders, bad at keeping people safe, bad at getting information, bad at controlling rogue elements, getting in the way of his investigation, all while setting the example clearly for his own partners to go do their own thing. He criticizes Watkins for running off and doing his own thing. And my first thought was, of course, Watkins did that. He has you for an example. You do everything you're not supposed to do. How Daphne isn't writing him up, firing him, or putting him on suspension in this chapter is completely beyond me. Both Julius
Because,
himself and
like,
the
no matter how
BPA
bad
come
the situation
across.
gets, she can still just throw him into whatever problem and he'll walk away from it alive.
Yeah, and so I need more setup for that because the way so that's the other problem. So if that's the case, then Daphne and the BPA look like a joke because they have clearly no policies and no rules if there's a good enough reason to let an agent get away with them. So long as it's Julius, so long as the guy is good enough as Julius, all she's going to do is throw him a few angry looks. Oh, Julius, you broke the rules again. Okay, I've got
Also,
another
technically
assignment for you. And I'm
speaking,
like,
nothing in here is actually against the rules. This is mostly just her chewing him out like a bureaucrat.
sounds like okay. So the first thing she says is, "You took your partner for a walk to go without permission." That sounds like a rule broken.
True. Technically, they're supposed to call in before they do this so that they know if they died. However, that's about it. Everything else he did was by the books.
So again, what I would say is because I totally understand that as I'm giving you this feedback, there will
Mm.
be a natural. So I'm just giving you the outside
Oh,
observation.
yeah.
If there are no rules, okay, so Julius clearly plays loose and fancy free. I love that about him too, but it seems like
I
it
wouldn't
gets him
say
into more
loose.
trouble.
I'd say he's set in his ways. like back when the BPA first started, when there basically were like little to no rules, and now there's just all this bureaucrat crap he has to deal with that wasn't there when he started.
Okay, so if that's the case, so whatever the situation is, here's where I'm going with all of this. Looking from the outside in, not knowing anything about the story, Julius looks like a guy who does whatever he wants. The BPA gets mad for a second, but never holds him accountable, and all of that is presented to the audience without explanation. So everything you're saying to me now is in Hayden's head. It's not on the page. So the challenge is sometimes you can get away with anything so long as there's an explanation for it. Because here's what I'm going to guess: 10 people are going to think when they read this. Julius is a renegade. The BPA is a joke. Nobody holds this guy accountable. I don't respect Daphne because she just kind of lets him do whatever he wants, and then afterwards cuts deals with him as he's on to his next assignment. It all looks super stupid. I'm not saying it is. You can literally address any of that and look super smart, like it was all intentional, by simply have people pointing this out. So, for example, you did this without permission. If anything, and then Julius, here's the double dick of this scene. Like, this is how it reads to me again. You love Julius, I love Julius, but the person who hasn't got to know him yet and love him enough, he literally is blaming the dead guy for why he died. He says, if anything, he should be charged with insubordination. So in other words, his way of dealing with breaking the rules, because that's what it looks like, is to say, yeah, sure, I broke the rules, but that guy who's dead, he broke the rules too. You should charge him. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, okay. Taking a step back. What I would do is I would go with your job was to keep him alive. Absolutely. Was his job to keep him alive? I thought his job was to deal with the issue, but if his job included keeping him alive, she's right. He completely fucking failed. He did cut. Who's the family of this guy?
At the same time,
whatever, man.
Ran off against instructions.
Sure. Yeah, no, totally. I get all of that. And that all works for the story. But Julius, the way he's coming across in this, but I wouldn't run away from it, because I'm about to go way over to the other side. On the positive of that, he did fail to keep the guy alive. He did fail to keep the vampire. This guy, Julius, has had way more loss. There's way more in the loss column for me, because this is all I know about Julius is what the story's told me so far. This guy seems to have a lot more losses than wins, and he does it while breaking the law and getting his partners killed, almost getting information and not being able to control a rogue element. Like, Julius doesn't seem to be in control of almost anything so far. But I keep hearing and getting the sense that he's a good guy, smart guy. He's clearly superhuman. Matthias couldn't kill him. So I'm like, okay, Julius clearly has been doing this for a long time, but I'm looking for anything to make, and he can shoot things really well, but I'm looking for anything to convince me yet that he's a really good, effective agent, or ever was. And so my thought is, when you get to this, even here, he's, the question here again, 2 days ago, she was completely mundane, and now she's running around public hospitals attacking people like a crazy person. All right, you got me there. I have nothing. And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. You haven't had anything from the beginning. She keeps calling you on all your stuff, and she's right. And I'm like, Julius, I want to like you, but dude, you're a train wreck. But Daphne, the best she gives him is a little stink eye. Okay, here's your next assignment. So I'm just being an asshole because devil's advocate. This is the way some of the people in the audience are going to be like, why should I take this story seriously? Where Julius just, there's no rules in this organization. There's clearly almost no rules in this world. You can literally solve all of that by doing one thing.
Okay.
Yeah, like when he says, fucking bureaucrats, they won't do anything until something goes wrong, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, oh, whatever, Julius. Yeah, criticize the leadership. That's easy when you're breaking all the rules. He's not wrong, but it's hard for me to take him seriously in that moment. My suggestion would be this: simply have Daphne point all that out. And when he goes on this THX 1138 assignment, he goes, okay, look, the reality is everybody back at head office wants me to fire you, because I don't know what the deal. You used to have it, Julius. I used to be able to send you on anything, and you dotted your I's and you crossed your T's, and you did it by the book, even when you were being a renegade. You got shit done. So far, you've let the bad guys go. You haven't got the information. You couldn't control somebody who suddenly appeared on a site where you were trying to get information. You got your last partner killed. That's a whole bunch of zeros. So and you haven't been following the rules. So everybody back at head office says I should can you. But here's what I know: you're good, or at least you used to be. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you off the grid and send you up to TH. So now, instead of 1138 simply being his next assignment, this is his last chance. And I would suggest you lean it that way. Now you don't have to listen to anything I just said, except to say, yep, he has had a loss. Embrace Julius's recent failures and say that this guy is clearly like gone off the reservation. And Ramona, by going on this thing with him, helps him get his juice back and whatever else. Now there's real stakes. If Julius is on the ropes with the BPA, but he's like the smartest guy in the room and he's going to almost single-handedly solve half this problem. I love it when that's the beginning of the story, when it sets up with this, this guy. But I'm just letting you know that's the way Julius is coming across. Don't change it. Don't change a thing. Simply have Daphne point it out and put him on this particular assignment off the grid. It's perfect. He's going to go up north. Nobody's going to know. He's just go do this job. And when you come back and you nail it, I'll be able to say, hey, to the guys up at head office, Julius nailed this thing. See, he's back in our good books. That's what I would be tempted to do.
I am very tempted to do that. My main reason for her chewing him out, and what I realized I probably should have done, I probably should have made a point where he asked her if she was done appeasing the bureaucrats, because that's what this actually is. Because in reality, Daphne knows there weren't a lot of better options he had available, short of just shooting Ramona in the head mid-fight.
Yeah. I love this dynamic. Hey, this is what I love about the
There's
story.
also the fact that Daphne knows that if he did do that, then people will be bitching at him for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, the great thing is you can have your cake and eat it too. You've actually, in my opinion, set up a situation where you get to have everything that you want. The BPA is a bunch of fucking bureaucrats who have lost their focus. Julius isn't wrong. The problem is his hands are dirty too, because he has been coloring outside the lines for so long, racking up racking up as many losses as wins. It's hard for anybody at the BPA headquarters to take him seriously. Oh, you think we're doing it all wrong, Julius? Well, we've seen your track record, dude. And I love this situation. It's where the guy who's right about the BPA, unfortunately, has had enough screw ups recently that that's working against him. And Daphne, the only one who believes in him because she remembers who he was and what he's still capable of being.
Daphne
Ramona
knows how hard the job is. She knows that realistically speaking, those screw-ups, maybe if he precognitionally knew everything beforehand, might have been able to do better. But realistically, that was about as best as could be expected given the situation.
Because she's empathetic. She obviously cares. She knows what the job is. She cares. But to the guys at the BPA head office, all they see is the reports they get sent. They don't know Julius like she knows Julius. All they get the reports and they think, Jesus, this guy is one bad move away from never working for the BPA again.
There's also the fact that Julius is like the last founding member of the BPA, so that gives him a lot of political clout.
And my suggestion would be
firing him or anything similar.
Yeah, but my suggestion would be that that's not cutting it anymore. That's worked up until now. Anything Julius, because that's what Julius is coming across as. Julius is coming across as a guy who's had so many pluses in his column, founding member of the BPA, great agent, whatever else like that. So he's been getting away with murder for a long time. But lately, he's been fucking up enough, and the guys up at the head office, they're looking for an excuse to cut this guy loose anyway. So who cares if he's a founding member? That used to be currency. It's not working anymore. Would be my suggestion. I'm not trying to rewrite your story, but to me, that is golden opportunity.
The problem with that is like literally later down on this page, he gets fresh onion soup while everyone else is eating MREs because he's a founding member.
Yeah, that's okay. It still works. Like it's like anybody who's sort of hanging in there. It's like Leo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street or any of those kinds of shows. He's completely losing credibility with some people, but he's still a god to others, right? So that's okay. They could still. There's still people that worship Julius.
Actually have to do the job, but to all the bureaucrats, they just
and that's why.
They're bureaucrats,
and I assume that's why he will always win. If you were to suddenly get everybody in the BPA in a room together, Julius would win against the bureaucrats every time because everybody on the ground loves Julius. But Julius is starting to show signs, that cynicism, that age, that I don't give it, like all of those things that have slowly been like rotting and creating all this rust on him. It's starting to show. That's the vibe I'm getting. Don't want to push you in a direction you don't want to go in, but that would be capital A awesome. If when he goes to this THX 113, when he goes to this thing, if he's going there with something to prove, with like 2 strikes, 3 you're out, that's a totally different and much cooler story if he goes up there and on top of everything else, he's got something to prove. Now, you don't have to do that, but I'm just letting you know that the story you've written up until this
So
point
so make
begs that
make THX a punishment, for lack of a better word, rather than just the next mission.
a bit. A bit. It depends on who's assigning him. So Daphne would probably not see it as punishment. I'm guessing Daphne would see it as a very, very important job that she really actually believes only Julius can take care of. It's just that everybody at the head office, if she told them that she was going to send Julius, they'd go, hell no. Didn't we tell you guys to put that guy on leave for 3 weeks while we investigate what he's going on? So she's not telling anybody up at the top. Is how it feels. They would consider it punishment, but they wouldn't send him in the first place. You know, in my mind, if I'm the leader of the BPA with the Julius you've given me here, I would never want this guy working in the field again because he's like clearly just lost it, but he hasn't lost it. Daphne knows he hasn't lost it. He's just looking for something to rekindle the fire, which is exactly what it looks like Ramona is going to do. It looks like that's what Jack was going to be before when it was Jack. But now it feels like Ramona is going to be that thing. And by the time the story is done, I can see that this woman who's just been fucking up his situation all over, the one who killed Matthias right before he got that key information he needed. I love that, you know, like, but my suggestion would be don't dump on us at the last minute here that you'll be receiving a new trainee. If you do this all off the books, then I buy that Daphne's doing this. I don't buy that Daphne putting him in this assignment is officially coming down from the BPA, given his recent track record. But I believe Daphne would send him on this assignment off the grid, off the radar. But I believe this new trainee, Ramona Vasquez, I don't buy that, you know, he finds this out at the last minute, because at that point I'm like, what? Come on. Like, she's just Daphne, even though I think she should go, that Daphne just acknowledged how she screwed up the thing. To me, I would say, okay, I'm going to put you this assignment. You have a new trainee. Oh yeah, who's that? Ramona. Let Julius and Daphne talk a bit about it. Say, why on earth would you put her on it? You got to be crazy. And then because I'm dying to know, I won't get to the next
That's
chapter.
literally the next chapter.
Yeah, so that's the problem. Is I think anybody who reads up to this point, if their credulity was stretched up to this point, and the last thing they read is, and your new trainee is Ramona Vasquez, boom, they're gonna go bye, and they're gonna stop reading, and they're gonna say, no, keep reading. It's explained in the next chapter. And I'm like, too bad. I don't buy it. My suggestion would be have the conversation here. Then this whole chapter becomes super cool, because now this chapter is pivotal. Where now we have Daphne calling Julius out in his behavior. Julius, you're lucky you have me, because if the BPA had their way, you'd be done. So that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, but it was what then all that bullshit Julius is dropping out. Well, Watkins, it's kind of his fault. I mean, he died, but he was the one breaking the rules. Daphne's like calling him on his bullshit left, right, and center. Dude, do you hear yourself? You know, that might have worked 10, 15 years ago, dude, but all these things you're doing and explaining how it was this, that, and the other thing, look, here's the deal. You're getting one more chance, THX 1138. I need you to prove to me that I can go to the guys at head office and fight for you, because I like you. You're good. I know you've got it in you, Julius, but lately, what the hell has been happening to you, dude? So I'm going to put you on assignment with a new trainee. Oh, Jesus, another trainee. Okay, but fine. Who is it? Ramona. Pardon? And then have a little explain about that and go, and then have the two of them get in the plane together at the end. That's kind of what I would do. Now people will definitely read the next chapter, rather than, this is a bit of a gamble to me to suddenly throw at us that the Ramona, Daphne herself, just acknowledged screwed up the last thing that Julius did. They're just partners without explanation. I'm nervous that people won't go to your next chapter. So a little bit of I'm beating up a little bit and massaging, but only because I think, rather than being a negative, the things that Daphne is pointing at, first I was like, oh boy, she's making a great case for him to never be, work for the BPA again. And then a light went on. I went, oh, perfect. Yes, that's exactly what should happen. He should go up to the outpost on probation with something to prove. That would be my recommendation. I know that probably takes a little bit of a curve on the story that you have, but that would be my fairly strong advice. And then instead of having a story where people are rolling their eyes, because you have a good story, but there's a few logic holes here where I was like, I'm nervous people are going to read and go, what? They're just going to keep them on. I have to believe in the BPA on some level, even if it is a corrupt organization, even if it's fallen off. I have to believe in Julius, both of which are hard to do if he's just being a meathead and never really ever being held accountable for it.
Okay, so more backlash from the bureaucrats. Don't not maybe talk about Ramona a little earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, however you want to do that, I mean, and one other way you could solve it, Hayden, is to not mention at all that Hayden, hilarious, that Ramona is his partner until the beginning of the next chapter, because you could easily, if you're looking for a hook at the end of this chapter to make people want to read the next chapter, the hook is that Julius has to prove something as he goes onto this assignment, and you could just be okay. Time to meet your new partner and land it. But I think you can't break chapter with the idea that Ramon is his partner, given what just happened and what was just discussed, without an immediate explanation within the chapter. So my suggestion would be do that at the end of this chapter, or perhaps more effectively do it at the beginning of the next chapter, and let the hook of this chapter just be Julius is on hot
The
water. He's
entire
got
next
something to prove.
chapter is about Ramona becoming his partner.
That's perfect. Yeah, then my suggestion would be don't mention it at the end of this chapter. And let it just let the end be Julius going, oh fuck, like what am I now? I got to prove myself, and I can see him, like being really mad about that, of course, because if this guy's like as old as he is and goes, oh, so you're gonna put me on training wheels, hobble me, you're gonna, like, and Daphne's like, hell yeah, dude, look at your tracker, you'd be fucking lucky you're working here at all. So yes, that's the way it's gonna work. Um, so he walks into that, and then if he gets, and I can see him literally the first words of the next chapter being, hell no. Julius looked at Ramona, he's saying, seriously, this is my partner? That's fun. I love that. Food for thought.
Okay, that's something to consider. We'll definitely look into that. So, chapter. Chapter. Okay, so Mexican standoff is done. Chapter 9 needs work. But beyond that, I'm good. Good to know.
Yeah, no, eight is good to go, I think, and nine, and it's not surprising. I mean, nine is a great chapter. Don't get me wrong, nine is really, really good. It's just using the logic or lack of it to your advantage, and just be aware of how it's coming across to the audience. And I love the idea, nothing to push, but I love the idea that he would go up north, not only with a partner that you know, but that he has something to prove. And I love that that's the very human story in the middle of the fact we haven't even seen the Alhoun coming yet. What I love is knowing what's about to happen. I love, because I've read it before, I love knowing that with something to prove. So if I'm Julius, I just want to go up there. Okay, if I've got something to prove, to not get in crap and continue with the BPA, then I would naturally want this THX1138 operation to go smooth as fucking butter, right? We're going to go in, we're going to get the information, we're going to go, we're going to leave. So when things go completely mental with the Alhoun and stuff like that, I love that. I love that. Oh man, I didn't need this right now, and the story really begins to kick in. I'm assuming on at that point.
Yeah. I just realized I made a slight mistake in the prologue. Station THX 1138. There we go.
Well, full steam ahead, dude. Yeah, 8 was perfect. I think you just move
I
on with
think
8
with the
and
prologue kind of hang there, finally comes back into it back in chapter 9, because we went to
okay,
the station again. So if you're reading it from prologue to chapter 9, I think it will work pretty well.
cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, it's looking good, Studley.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'll see you next
How many
week.
chapters is this thing going to be in total, do you think?
I actually have it storyboarded out. It's currently looking at 20 chapters, 2 epilogues, and a prologue. So about 23 chapters in total.
Beauty. Mental. I love it.
Yeah, I basically took
Okay.
I took the BPA script and cut and pasted it into parts of the other story.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Okay, I've sent you notes. Does this time next Monday work again?
Yeah. I also checked with the school. I'm going to be on Tuesdays, not Mondays, so we're good. We don't need to change.
Oh, right, right. Yeah, thank you for the reminder on that one. Okay, so we can keep Mondays.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh yeah.
All right, have a great week,
I
Hayden.
also saw the new Puss in
Yeah.
Boots movie. It's totally great. You should definitely watch it at some point.
Oh, I'm dying to see that. Yeah, actually, my son had really wanted to see that, but it had like a crazy good review on Rotten Tomatoes.
It was surprisingly good. They
No, I would love to see that.
do it exceptionally.
I've heard good things.
Watch it and come back. It was a
Okay.
surprisingly
Do
good
you know
movie.
what movie also got really wicked reviews that I did not even have any plans to go see? Is that new movie, Megan?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
That's the one with the girl who gets like the android doll. That it's sort of like Chucky, like it, but it's like way better. Like the reviews are like 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, really? What? So I'm kind of looking forward to that. But I'll go see Puss in Boots. Thanks for the heads up on that.
Oh yeah, it was great. So see you
Have
next
you
week.
seen Avatar?
No.
Did you see Avatar yet? Okay, we'll talk about that
No,
when you
I'm
do.
not sure I will, but yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Okay.
Fair.
See you next week, Paul.
All right, take her easy.
Will do.
Cheers.